I just want me to introduce.
Well, let's start. Okay, so I thought rain gardens was pretty important topic because a lot of times, even for smaller residential jobs, they're required, but people like developers sometimes try to kind of um, avoid using rain gardens. So I thought it would be interesting to see what are the different applications, even if it's not residential, and how they can be incorporated into residential projects. So when I thought about rain gardens, I thought about you, Joanne, because you worked on so many of them. And I was like, well, Joanne is like a kind of like a rain garden enthusiast. So I should, have a webinar with her. And so you can start with introducing yourself. I think Kathy and Grace are the only
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Joanne Jarreau, landscape architect and a lead AP. I've known Ruhina probably, maybe 20 something years now.
Yeah, since 2002.
Since she was just a young thing.
Yeah,
Me too.
Young and skinny.
Yeah, we met in Houston, Texas, and we just love working together. We've had a great time doing projects together. I love rain gardens because I just see so much possibilities that can happen, like she said, in residential as well as commercial. And it's a very environmental thing to do, and to use plants to accomplish so many different environmental benefits. So I just love them. I try to incorporate them in my designs as much as possible. And hopefully I can share some of the knowledge that I have had and experiences with rain gardens in projects.
Okay, so we can start. Do you want to start with introduction, or do you want me to go ahead and introduce the concept?
Why don't you introduce the concepts, and I'll start following up on them on how they apply to projects.
Okay, so what are rain gardens? So how does a rain garden work? The first thing is that it reduces runoff. It captures water and slows down the flow of water. And the most polluted runoff occurs in the beginning of a rainstorm. So the first part of the rain, it captures it. And instead of letting it run over driveways or parking lots, the water gets collected, and all the sediments, nutrients, and other compounds, all the sediments get stopped. And rain gardens capture this water before it enters the storm drainage system. So all the pollutants settle out of the water. They're absorbed by the plant roots and treated through natural filtration. So these plants are called, I think, there's a word for it.
Phytoremediation.
Phytoremediating plants, because they chemically treat the water and the plants do all the work. What are some of the benefits? Huh?
One of the soil also is a purifier.
Yes, yes. So the soil has to be amended. So rain gardens help with drainage problems because it reduces the amount of drainage that needs to be captured by the stormwater drainage system. It keeps sediments and pollutant out of the streams. They also act as, you can have rain gardens that attract birds and butterflies. There's less maintenance than grass, and it reduces the amount of stormwater pollution. So that's one of the main benefits of it. So sometimes when I think about rain gardens, I have clients ask me, oh, wouldn't it be a problem with mosquitoes? Because, it'll be a breeding ground because water will collect. So the water collects only for so long. Before mosquitoes can breed, the water will drain out. Do all rain gardens have a wild and messy appearance? No. So you have to design rain gardens that look prettier and not as messy. They can be kept beautiful if they're maintained well. And would a rain garden cause flooding in the basement? Not if they're properly located. So rain gardens have to be located at least 10 feet away from the building. The lot has to slope away from the building towards the rain garden. So the drainage is very important. That's why when you submit drawings to cities, they always ask for the slope at different points around the building, and to make sure you show that 2% air all the way around the building. Would I need to water my rain garden during dry periods? Yeah, sometimes you will have to put it on a irrigation system during dry periods. But even for detention ponds, during the dry period, they need irrigation, but the rest of the year, they will be okay. So now Joanna is going to talk about some of her projects, which are, most of them are non-residential, right, Joanne?
Right. Most of these projects that I'm going to show you are non-residential. They're commercial projects, public projects. A lot of them are school projects. And I worked in Houston for several years on greenfield schools, LEED schools, schools that were certified as sustainable schools. And they also used the outside for not only just landscaping and beautification, but they used it to educate the children that would be at school.
Next.
Yeah. So this was Ord Terrace in Monterey, and it was a project that I was asked by the Monterey School District to come up with a design so that they could purify the water that was coming off the roof for runoff. Monterey Bay is right below there, and so the water eventually does drain to Monterey Bay. But as you can see, there were several roofs, several roof surface areas with gutters coming down. So I basically utilized the outside for an outdoor learning classroom. The students installed it. They learned about stormwater management practices, and we use bioswales, which is another form of rain gardens. It's a water conveyance stream, but they function very similar to rain gardens. So as you can see, the cobble coming off of draining the gutters or coming off the roof, and it's going into a sort of a cobbled stream, which then will allow the water to penetrate to the side areas and naturally water and irrigate the landscape, as well as cleanse the water coming out so that it eventually goes into lower areas, streams, or the ocean as more clean, like we've been discussing.
So these students took rainwater gardening. Was it part of their curriculum, or was it like?
Yeah, they teach that as part of the STEM curriculum, as part of the science and math, and they actually have their classrooms and gain their points, scores, and they have lessons out there. And this was a project. I think it was a project with a green association locally that helped the kids put in the design that I had designed.
Okay.
They actually installed it, but they do get credits for it.
Okay. All right. You can talk about the plants.
Okay. So some of the plants, in this plan right here, you can see where I have the legend is actually the classroom area. That's the building with the strong black line. Then it goes into the outdoor classroom. To the right is the rain cistern, and you can see the area that was actually a drainage area as well as a pathway. So this was a pathway as well as drainage. The rain cistern is here. The downspouts comes into the rain cistern, and this is a drip system that's worked throughout the sides all through the landscaping. This downspout right here is actually an open downspout, and the water just openly drains into what I've designed as fingers throughout the landscaping. So the water will actually come through and go into the planted areas. Would also have a gravel drip river system. With this square, you can't really tell what it is, but it is a access drain in case it's over too much water, then it would be absorbed and go into the drain system. It's always put a little bit higher up because if it floods, then you want the water to go a little higher before it goes into the area drain. Some of the plant materials we use, the common rush that was planted throughout the areas, and here mountain California fuchsia and the Pacific wax myrtle. I used a lot of wax myrtle in Texas as well because it does very well with wet feet. So this climate is sort of a high chaparral climate, but it also is going to get saturated with water and then dried out. So the plants can be a high chaparral prairie, but like wet feet plants. Right here, I use those in a clump form throughout They love the water. They love to get their feet wet. They do great and have just a beautiful color in the spring and fall. The California mountain fuchsia adds a lot of color. It will allow its feet to get wet or extremely dry. It will tolerate the salt, and it will also tolerate the wind. So it's a tough little perennial. It's a tough flowering plant. And here again is the Maurica californica. It's Pacific wax myrtle. This is just a tough plant. It will withstand a lot. The school was up on a hill, so it really was a lot of wind coming in. We used it as barriers, wind barriers, and also just aesthetically for the children to see the berries and just all the benefits. The birds love this plant too.